Hey everyone, welcome back to the homestead. I am Nadine. Today we're going to be hanging out in the garage working on some additional bunny cages for our rabbitry. So let's head over there and get started. Alrighty guys, we are out in the garage. We are working on bunny cages today. I wanted to go over some tools and materials before we get started. So the cages I am building are a two-sided cage. The whole cage itself measures 72 by 30 by 17 and a half, I think is what my last one I cut at. And then I just split it in half to have two cages next to each other. So I'm technically building two cages in one, which is really, really handy. So some tools that you're going to need are, one, a measuring tape, some wire cutters, and then for assembly, you could use hog rings, which, running out of hands here, guys. Shove these in a pocket. So hog rings, oh my goodness, are basically these, and this little tool crimps it shut in a circle. So I used these for my last cages. They didn't get a super tight connection between the cage panels, so I wanted to try these instead this time. These are cage clips. I got them on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the comments below for you guys, but they're just these little, I do believe they're called J clips because they look like a J. I don't know, trying to see. And then you just use this little tool here that I got with them, and you slide them in with the curved side on the thicker side here. If you can get it in there. And then you just squeeze it closed to clip or to clamp it. So that's what I'm going to be using for my assembly today. And I'll let you know if it works a little bit better than the hog rings that I tried on my last build. And then for the cage bottoms, I am using this 30 by 10 foot cage wire. The openings are 1/2 inch by 1 inch, so it's a little bit nicer on the rabbit's feet, but it still allows their feces and other debris to fall through the bottom of the cage and help keep it clean. So this is what I'm using for the cage bottoms. I am using 1 roll per cage because the cage itself is 6 feet. Yeah, 6 feet long. So one of these does 1 floor of a cage. And then for the front, back, sides, and roof of the cage, I am using hardwire cloth in the 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch cage openings. This will prevent any predators from being able to get in. It'll also keep babies from rolling out the sides. And it was a little bit cheaper than cage wire. Although I am finding that the cage wire would probably provide a little bit more sturdiness in your cage walls, but it's working out just fine so far. If I need to update it in the future, I'll let you guys know, but for right now this is working just fine for my sides, front, back, and roof. And then this one came in 36 inches high by 25 feet long. I did have to trim this down, but I'll show you how I cut it for the roof, front, back, and the sides. So that is my supply list. Those are the tools that I'm going to be using. So let's go ahead and get started. I have 2 cages that I want to get done tonight. So let's go ahead and get everything cut, and then I'll show you how to put it all together. Oh. one last thing. I got these off of Amazon. They're by All Things Bunny. And these are, I don't know if you guys can, they're so big it's kind of hard to tell what they are. These are, I do believe they're called like cage door guards. But basically what these are is when I cut the door opening into the cage itself, the wire is really rough. And so you put this over the wire edge and it creates a safe doorway. So you're not getting cut to ribbons when you reach in to take care of your bunny. So that's the other thing that I'll be using today. Let's get started. Two bottom pieces here. Those are the 1/2 inch by 1 inch cage wire. These are two roof pieces. They do need trimmed a little bit. They're about 6 inches too wide, so they would overhang the roof or the floor panels. So we're gonna trim this up a little bit, but those two are cut out. And then what it didn't record was these side pieces that I cut. And what I did with these was I took, basically, they're the same size as the roof pieces, but I cut it in half lengthwise. So it would be 17.5 inches in this way and 17.5 inches from the other side, and you're going to skip a section, this like a 1 inch section in the middle, so you'll have a 17.5 inch side piece, which is what these are here. So all I have left are the two end pieces and the divider piece, but it is 6 o'clock. It's starting to get dark, so I need to go put the animals away. I need to get my kids some dinner and get them off to bed. So I am going to wrap it up here for the night, but I will be back tomorrow to finish this up. So stay tuned, guys. Morning, everybody. It is day 2 of getting these bunny cages done. So let's get into the garage and get this project wrapped up. Alrighty, so all of the pieces are now cut and trimmed down to size. So this one that I just finished is a roof piece along with that piece there. They're now trimmed so they're the same width as the floor pieces. 1 minute. These are the front and back panels, and these are the two end and middle dividers. So ahead with the fun part and get these all put together. So I'm going to be using these cage clips to put the cages together. They look like this. And when you use the tool, this is the tool that came with it. You put this inside the tool like this. It's kind of crooked. But when you squeeze it shut, it crimps around the wire. Sorry. Like that. And so once it's together, it'll look like this, holding your cages together. The last cages that I put together, I didn't have these, and I didn't have time to order them. So I used this instead. And this is, these are considered hog rings. And they come kind of like staples do. And you just insert them into this tool here. And when you squeeze them shut, there it is. When you squeeze them shut, it forms this ring and it holds the cages together. But I didn't like that it doesn't get any smaller than that with this tool. So I'd have to go around and squeeze each one of them with pliers to get a really tight connection between the wire panels of the cage. It worked well, but I think I'm gonna have to go back through and so they have a tighter connection like this. It's a little bit smaller than the hog wire, so, but we'll see. I'm not too worried about it this winter, but maybe come spring I'll go back through and adjust everything. Let me get you guys set up on my tripod and we'll start putting these together. So how I do it is I start with the floor panel. I put the floor panel down, and then I fold the side panels in and connect the sides and attach the middle divider and then connect all of the sides together on the corners. So you'll see it in the video how I put it together, but I kind of wanted to explain it a little bit before I go ahead and get it together. So hopefully that made sense. Let's go ahead and get to it. the cage is all put together now. The roof is secure. All the sides, front, back, and bottom are done. I definitely recommend using the cage clips for assembly over the hog rings. It gets a much tighter connection, and I have less of this warped wire in between. Now I put one every 5 spaces, just because I wanted to make sure with having larger bunnies that it's nice and tight, and it turned out a lot better this time than with my first cage builds using the hog rings. So I definitely recommend the cage clips. So I'm going to go ahead and take this around back, and then I will show you how I cut the openings for the door and the feeders. Alrighty guys, we are back in the rabbitry. I've got these 2 cages completely assembled. Now we just need to cut the doors, cut the spot for the gravity feeder, as well as for the hay feeder. So let's go ahead and do that. Alrighty, so my doors are 13 by 13 square. So I'm just going to cut out 13 inches by 13 inches here, 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 and here. And then we'll move on to the gravity feeder. So I count 6 squares over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 squares up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that is where I start my door. 1, 2, 6. And then these are 1/2 inch squares. So I'm going to count over until I get to 13 inches. So 1, 2, once your door is cut open, you're going to want to put a door guard on it, and that's these little plastic pieces that clip over top of the wire so you don't rip your skin open. So I just line it up here like this and take my wire cutters and I cut it right where it's gonna slip on, just like so. And then I'll measure the top one the same way. Nice and snug. Keep your leftover pieces and I'll show you why. Gonna get one more. You need 2 per cage. So now we're gonna do the sides. And again, just measure it up real good. Eyeball it and snip. And slide it on. On this side. short, but that's okay. Like I said, save your little cutoff pieces because you're gonna want to use those later. All right, so next we're gonna put on the gravity feeder. I like to use these ones. I found them at Tractor Supply. We're going to cut a hole here for the gravity feeder because you want this part to go inside the cage and this side to be attached on the outside of the cage. Alrighty, once your hole is cut, this should slide right in, like so. Clip over the wire like so. And then I like to take a little bit of leftover wire and I secure the bottom of this to the actual cage itself, and that way they can't push it out or cause it to fall off the side of the cage. It's secure. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And I cut off the excess wire. And your feeder is securely attached to the side of your cage. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and cut the door for this cage here. I'm using this 1/2 inch by 1 inch cage wire, and we're going to cut it 14 by 14, so it's 1/2 inch bigger than this opening. So now that we have the door cut out, we are going to attach it to the cage. Again, I'm using these cage clips and the cage clip pliers. And I'm going to use about 5, one at the top, the bottom, the middle, and then in between. So it's good and secure. And then you just want to make sure, because you're getting your wire from a roll, you want to make sure that your door is as straight as you can get it. So you might need to bend it back into shape a little bit. So we're just going to line it up so it's about 1/2 inch all the way around and secure it with the cage clips. So we've got one at the top, one at the bottom, and now we're just going to put the door latches on. So these are the door latches that I got. I got these off of Amazon. I can leave a link down below for you guys. And I just attached them on the opposite side. So one clip. And 2 clips. And these will just work like so. And so we've got a completely finished door, and we are ready for some rabbits. So that is how I've made all of these cages. I hope that this video has been really helpful for you. If there's anything that you're unsure about, any questions that you have, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'm sure I've missed something along the way, and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions for you. I'm super excited and happy with how these cages have turned out. I definitely prefer these cage clips for assembly versus the hog rings. They definitely get a tighter, more secure connection between the 2 wire panels, which I really, really like, and it makes the cage feel a lot more sturdy. So come next season, when I need to clean the old or the first cages that I built, I'm going to go ahead and reassemble them using the cage clips so that they're a sturdier build, because they are definitely not as sturdy as I would like them to be. So I definitely recommend the cage clips. I will leave links below for the cage clips, for the door latches, and I think that's it as far as and the cage guards. I will leave links below for those, so if you guys are looking for them, you can find them easily yourselves. I did find the gravity feeders, that's these, at my local Tractor Supply. Yeah, and that's about it. Oh, for the watering system, I'm going to be doing another video on how we put our watering system together, and I will leave links for all of the products that we used in that video. So be looking forward to that in the near future, because we need to hook up the watering system to these cages over here. Right now we just have some watering bowls set up for them, but they are going to be linked into the main watering system. I think that about covers it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos. If you like my content, go ahead and click the like button on your way out and the subscribe button so that you are notified when new videos are up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to grow where you're planted.